All right, we're back with episode 57, I believe it is, of the Scotty No Show. This is our big NCAA tournament and just basketball tournament preview. We'll get to that here soon, but we got Bennett Dean back for the second time now.
Back for round two, baby. Let's get it.
Yep. You've gotten two appearances before your brother Blake could even get one. So
that's true. And Bradley's only got one too. So I'm ahead of the family right now. So
yeah. I'm sure we should probably discuss it. How's the family doing?
We're doing better. Everyone's taking it one day at a time. So just getting over it slowly.
Yeah. Just for the people here to begin with, do you have any good stories about your dad?
I got a lot of good stories, but not any that come off the top of my head. I mean, I could go on for days about stories about my dad and just the type of person he was, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I could probably go on great matches and great stories about Scott Hall too. So
exactly.
Of course, Scott Hall passed away earlier this week. He was one of my favorites. I may or may not have been named after him. I don't know.
Hey, it's a bonus.
Yeah, it's possible. The story that my parents tell me is that some guy worked on our family farm, and that's the guy I was named after. I choose to believe that because my mom would always go to wrestling shows in the Minneapolis area that Scott Hall was in. Maybe Scott Hall was an inspiration for yours truly.
Could be. Okay, I gotta ask: is he your favorite wrestler of all time?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say if you're named after him, I feel like it kind of has to be. But
I know, no. My favorite wrestler of all time is Mick Foley.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. I didn't know you knew who Scott Hall was.
I mean, I'm not as big of a WWE guy as you are, but the legends, obviously, and Scott Hall's a legend. So, I mean, I'm sure I can't name everyone that you can, but like I said, the legends and the notable people, I know a little bit.
Okay. But before we get to all of our tournament talk, Pete Davidson is going to space.
Is he actually?
Yes, he's going on that same rocket ship or whatever that I think it might be Musk's. It's the one that Michael Strahan went on last year.
Okay. Hey, here's an idea for you, Scotty. Well, not you, but here's my idea. Put him and Kanye West in that spaceship. Let them work out their differences.
Well, what did you think of Kanye of his comeback to Kanye?
I thought it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. It was clever.
Oh, I'm in bed with your wife, and he just snaps a picture of himself.
Exactly.
Nobody is there other than him. So who's to say if he's bullshitting or not?
That's true. But still, I mean, you got to give props to Pete. Like Kanye's been dishing a lot of stuff at him, and he's just stay quiet, stay on the low. He's one of those silent killers in basketball you like to see.
Yeah. I have not listened to Kanye's new album because I don't know where to find it.
I haven't listened to it. I haven't listened to Donda 2 either yet, but
I believe it's on something called a STEM player, and I think you have to pay for that, and that just doesn't sound like something I want to do.
No, me either, buddy.
We got a lot, and I mean a lot of NFL news.
Yep.
I think we talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers last week. I can't really remember if we did or not, but Aaron Rodgers, of course, being back with the Packers, huge contract. May or may not be able to get Devontae Adams to come back now.
I mean, I'm as a Vikings fan, I love the contract for Rodgers because, like you said, with all the money tied up to him, And plus, Rodgers isn't the type of guy that's going to want to restructure a deal to keep all these guys. So you're going to probably lose Devontae, even though they franchise tagged him. They're either going to have to trade him or let him play out the year and let him walk next year. They're probably going to lose Jair Alexander. Probably going to lose Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
Like, they're just losing, like we saw, had to release Darius Smith. They're going to be losing a lot of pieces here soon. So, I mean, yeah, as much as I wanted Rodgers gone, I'm happy he's staying because one, he's getting older, and two, that contract is so bad in terms of trying to create a Super Bowl winning team. It works out for the Vikes.
Yeah. I mean, we got the human ranch dressing himself, Kirk Cousins, human cup of ranch dressing.
He is the human cup of ranch dressing.
You know, we have him tied up for a little bit. It's we talked about this last week. There's two types of NFL fans when it comes to Minnesota football: Vikings fans and Kirk Cousins fans. So,
I agree. I don't know how you were, Scotty, but I was okay with trading Kirk only if they went out and got Deshaun Watson next or Russell Wilson.
Okay.
But if I am on I wouldn't say I'm team Kirk, but I was also I wasn't on team keep Kirk, but I wasn't on team trade Kirk either. Like, as long as if they traded Kirk, I just didn't want them to go out and get a guy like Jimmy G or Bridgewater or something like that and make Jefferson mad and want him to leave and he'd want out.
So the Jags are seemingly overpaying for a lot of different people. They gave $72 million for 4 years for Christian Kirk, and then $24 million for 3 years for Zay Jones. I mean, on one hand, I get it. You need to overpay these guys right now so that eventually you can get them a little bit cheaper and then help build around Trevor Lawrence.
Exactly. And I think, too, with all the cap space they had to use it on somebody. And so, and like I was watching a video on it the other day, especially with how notoriously bad the Jags franchise are, you probably are going to have to overpay some of these guys to get them to come there.
You do know who's the GM there, right?
Shad Khan's their owner. I don't know their GM. Isn't it Trent Baalke?
Yep. Trent Baalke, who, of course, was one of the people that built the 49ers.
Oh, was he actually? I didn't know that.
Yeah, for the Colin Kaepernick 49ers, I believe.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy that Jim Harbaugh hated, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tough scene.
Brady unretired. I know you hated it.
Yeah, I messaged you the night that he did on Selection Sunday of all days. Like, Selection Sunday is the one day a year that college basketball is the king of the sporting world. And then Brady comes out of retirement. Oh, I'm going to unretire. Dude, save it for at least Monday. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Or he could have done even Saturday. But why? Was not happy about that. I don't care that he's back, but
yeah,
I knew he was going to come back. But
yeah, I love that how he probably. Well, here's the question I asked somebody at my gym yesterday, and that's does Tom Brady has to homeschool his kids, right?
He might,
because there's no way they're in public school.
If they are in like actual school, they're definitely in private.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing though, is like, I know Tom had said like when he retired the first time that I think him and Giselle were going to go to Miami and build a house, I think.
Okay.
So they were going to stay in Florida. So, I mean, it wouldn't be, maybe they're in private school. I don't know, but.
Well, there was the rumor that he was going to go to Miami. Him and Sean Payton were going to be like a package deal, and then I think eventually he would be part of ownership there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's one story I heard. But and then there was another thing that he I mean, he definitely wanted to at least some point be a 49er, but I think he wants to stay in Tampa, where that leaves Bruce Arians, who I don't think he gets along with, is up to interpretation.
I mean, it'll probably be. I mean, I don't know how old Arians is, but
he's in his 70s at least.
I would say what's probably going to end up happening is Leftwich. I know him and Leftwich have a good relationship. So if Bruce, however long Tom plays this next career, I guess if you want to call it his second career, well, technically it'll probably be like his fourth section of his career. But I'm guessing if Arians retires after this year, Leftwich will take over. So. Scotty, I was going to tell you this quick. The best thing about Brady's retirement or unretirement was I was listening to Pardon My Take on Monday, and they were saying that he unretired because he didn't want to steal Big Ben's Hall of Fame induction. I was laughing at that.
That honestly, there's probably a little bit of truth to that.
There might be. But now watch him and Rodgers retire in the same year.
I know, that would be hilarious. Some other moves. Chandler Jones to the Raiders.
I mean, Chandler Jones is old aging pass rusher.
True.
Still good, but
my personal favorite, one of my personal favorite moves, Mitch Trubisky to the Steelers.
Yep, Money Mitch is back. Let's go.
I love it. Von Miller. This just happened today. Von Miller to the Bills, and they also got OJ Howard for the first time in about 40 years. The Juice is back in Buffalo.
I was just gonna say that same thing. I saw PFT's tweet. Who's back edition in Buffalo? OJ.
I think we may have talked about this last week. I don't really remember. Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Of course, Drew Lock to the Seahawks. Randy Gregory to the Broncos as well. Of course, Randy Gregory and I have an interesting little history. The night he got drafted back in the day, this was back when I was drinking a lot. This is a dumb thing. Don't ever do this. Don't ever pick a player and be like, I'm gonna take a shot for every shot until he's picked. Randy Gregory wasn't picked until the second round. That was the dumbest idea. I had a paper due the next day. It was bad.
That's funny.
Yannick Ngakoue is now a Colt.
Former Viking DN for 6 games or whatever he was. But
yeah. Carson Wentz is a Commander.
Hey, take command, baby.
Yeah. Omari Cooper left the a person who he called the Black Kirk Cousins in Dak Prescott. He's now in Cleveland, where unless they get Deshaun, he's with now the White Dak, as some people are calling him.
Okay, I might be in the minority. I've always kind of been a Baker guy.
I love Baker.
Personally. I love Baker. And I know people like Baker, especially last year in 21, he got so much hate, but the dude was playing injured for a majority of the year. Yeah. He's probably not going to be anything. He's not probably ever going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but he's like Jimmy G in a sense. He wins when healthy. He's at worst a league average quarterback, and he doesn't. I don't really know what his interceptions look like, so I can't really speak on that. But I don't think he turns the ball over that much. So, and it's not like he's going to be relatively expensive either.
No. And then finally, the last move that I have listed here, and it's an interesting one because it has ramifications on multiple levels. It's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to ESPN.
I saw that. I saw they both. I saw Buck tweeted something today about him going to ESPN, and so the one thing is, although they're most known, him and Aikman are most known for being the America Game of the Week crew. My question is now, who's going to be the lead guy for the World Series?
That's
That was
the
Buck.
question. Yeah,
So
who is it going to be? Vescursion, maybe?
it could be. And maybe Buck takes over Sunday Night Baseball.
Ooh, maybe.
I don't know, but that's who I was when I heard about that. I was like, who's taking over the World Series games and playoff baseball games?
You know what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up ESPN's going to buy the World Series.
I could see it. They have the money, and especially with Buck now, I wouldn't be shocked.
And they can simulcast it on ESPN and ABC.
That's true. And plus, with the variety of networks, they can do like all the what they do for the college football playoff and have like the coaches cam and stuff like that.
Yep.
So,
speaking of the MLB, there's a whole host of news. I could have sworn, did something happen with Freddie Freeman like a half hour ago? I didn't quite see it.
He hasn't signed anywhere, I don't think, but he wrote a goodbye to the Braves today, posted it on Instagram, and because the Braves went out and got Matt Olson.
I could have sworn somebody went to the Rockies.
Chris Bryant went
That's to the Rockies. That's it. Okay. But yeah, Matt Olson to the Braves. Kyle Schwarber is a Philly now.
Good move for the Phillies.
Yep.
Because ballpark's small and he hits tanks.
And one Matt is gone for the Oakland A's, and so another Matt is also leaving. Matt Chapman is now a Blue Jay.
Blue Jays will be the best team in the AL East next year. Best starting rotation. Best starting rotation in baseball, I believe. They have the best infield now in baseball, and their lineup is just loaded.
And then there was also a trade involving your Twins.
2 trades. I like both of
them. I only have the Donaldson is now a Yankee. Is Gary Sanchez now a Twin?
Gary Sanchez is a Twin, and they got Sonny Gray on Sunday as well from the Reds.
Ooh.
So 2 good pickups for my Twins.
Interesting.
Although the Donaldson trade, I'll tell you this, Scotty. The Donaldson trade I'm happy with because they cleared salary, but they now have a hole at shortstop. I want the Twins to go get Trevor Story.
Ooh.
There have been rumors of Trevor Story coming to the Twins, so.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
I'd love that. Him or Correa, but I doubt we get Correa.
Did you hear about what happened with Fernando Tatis?
Yeah, it sucks for the game because, he's either your 1 or number 2 star in the sport behind Ohtani, wherever you want to put him. But it's not really a great look for the game of baseball when one of your stars is being reckless in the offseason.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing was the which one comment.
Yep.
The which one motorcycle accident.
Yeah, for Fernando Tatis, of course, it's not the first athlete that has gotten into a motorcycle accident. I believe somebody, what's his name? We talked about him earlier, Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. So, let's hope that Fernando heals up quickly. I believe this was this past weekend or maybe earlier this week. Karl Anthony Towns and Kyrie Irving both dropped 60 points. Kat did it against the Spurs, and I think Kyrie did it against the Magic, the poor, hopeless, defenseless Magic.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to catch heat from 2 people, and both these people are my brothers. But to me, Kyrie's performance was more incredible than Kat's.
Yeah.
And that's because Kyrie, what do you have, 41 at half? I think something. He had over 40 at half.
I think he did in less shots.
I think he did too. And he, I think I was talking about it with Blake last night, and he said, I think Kat had 60 and 17 boards, and Kyrie had 60. And then, I don't know what his rebound and assist numbers were, but he had 4 steals on top of it too. So he was playing defense as well.
I'm gonna admit something. I love it when the Lakers suck, like they do right now.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a LeBron guy, so I never like to see when LeBron's teams suck. But I mean, the Westbrook fit's just not a good fit.
No, it's not.
And hopefully, I mean, did you see what they like the rumors of coming out were?
What's that?
How like in the offseason, because you know how they were trying to get Buddy Hield, right? And like Buddy Hield to the Lakers was like basically done. I guess what happened was Pelinka had like signed off on the Buddy Hield trade, but Bron and AD went to Pelinka's or told Pelinka like they wanted Westbrook instead.
Yeah.
And it's just like if they had Buddy Hield, I don't know how much better they'd be, but they'd be better.
Yeah.
Dude, 43% 3-point shooter or whatever he is.
You haven't watched Winning Time yet, have you?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It's also really weird to see that guy that you know from all those movies playing Jerry West.
John C. Reilly?
No. That's Jerry Buss. He is who John C. Reilly's playing. Jason Clark is playing Jerry West. Jason Clark is a guy that you don't know his name, but you've seen him in at least 7 different things.
Okay. I need to watch Winning Time, but I have been watching. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't watched the 3rd episode, but I watched the first 2 episodes of the Kanye documentary, which were really good.
What's that on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's really good. I liked it.
Yeah, the funny thing, I'm gonna spoil a little bit about Winning Time. It's 40 years ago. It's ancient history.
That's true.
There's a scene where they have Jerry West having sex, and it's like I didn't really need to see Jerry West just getting it on.
True. I agree with you on that one.
Or Magic Johnson just having backseat whatevers.
Yeah. I agree with you on that
one. State basketball for the boys is this weekend. In AA, 6 of the 8 teams are from Sioux Falls, unfortunately. I don't know who you want, but I want Mitchell to make a run.
I mean, the team who I want, you always kind of got to root for a good underdog story in Yankton.
True.
But, I think Roosevelt's going to win. I think they've just shown they're the best team.
That's what I'm expecting.
In AA all year. Would I be shocked if a team like O'Gorman upset them? No. But I think Roosevelt's they've just been proven they're the best team all year. They can beat you. Like, they've blown out a lot of teams. And they've also shown they can win close games. So, but I would like to see, because Caden Hinker is an absolute beast.
Yep.
I would like to see him potentially get a ring. We'll see if it happens. I don't even know who they play. I don't know who Mitchell plays. I
believe Harrisburg.
Of course, 2 of the 3 ESD teams got to match up with each other in the first round.
Yep. After this past few weeks, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you rather lose by 39 points, 1 game away from state, or lose in double overtime after being up by 18 points?
It's a tough one.
I would rather get my ass kicked than ever think I had a chance.
That's true. I think I'd do probably like you said, probably the 39-point loss, but hopefully the Govs can get back there or get back to state next year. Like you said, up 18 late in the game. A few things didn't go their way, didn't go how they hoped, but they essentially bring back their whole team. So
yeah,
sucks for Matt that he won't get to go to state, but you're losing 1 guy out of a team that played 10.
Yep.
So
got to work on those free throws, boys. In Class A, probably the prohibitive favorite, I believe, is Dakota Valley.
Yep. Go Panthers, baby.
I really want Groton, Winter, or Sioux Valley, personally.
See, I don't really know much about Class A or Class B basketball this year just because I'm not in high school anymore. But some of the guys on my floor, and I've kind of been adopted. I've kind of adopted them as my second high school team. Dakota Valley, baby, go Panthers!
Really?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
I know 6 guys in my hall from Dakota Valley, and we've all become pretty good friends. So go Panthers, baby.
Now the reason for Groton, I have no reason. I just they're a team that they're a school that I know mainly for wrestling. I don't know much about their basketball program. Winter, I played for the brother of the head coach.
Okay.
So, go Brett Gardner. And on top of that, you played them last year.
Yeah, we did play them last year.
And, that Vollmer kid's still there. That Vollmer kid is still really freaking good.
The guy who gave us – oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scotty.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say the guy who gave us trouble last year was Brady Fritz.
Yep.
It just seems like – because I remember I was guarding him in that game, and it was like I thought I played good defense on the kid, and he just hit shots over me, and I was like, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I was getting a hand in his face, I thought, for the most part, and you're just making shots. So he's a bucket. He's a bucket.
And then Sioux Valley, I like because I saw them a little bit last year. Oliver Vincent is freaking electric.
He's good. I know they got some kid that's like 6'9", I think.
I think you're right.
I think they got a couple big boys on the team. So I think you're right. Probably the A championship will be Dakota Valley and Sioux Valley. And I know last year they had a pretty electric semifinal game. So
yeah. And then finally, Class B, which I think is probably the most entertaining class. I like to label this tournament the Tournament of Stars, because DeSmet, who is probably your prohibitive favorite, they got Gary. Is his name Kalen Gary?
Kalen Gary going to STSU.
Yeah. Potter County has I believe it's Grant Lukens, really, really good player. Lower Brule, this is my dark horse. Lower Brule has 3 1,000-point scores.
That's crazy. Well, when I was at the Jefferson game, the Sioux Falls Jefferson Pier game in the regular season, Coach White came to that game. Yep. So I was over sitting with him for a little bit, and he told me that if there's a team that can upset DeSmet, it would be Lower Brule.
Yep. So yeah, 3 1,000-point scores. I believe it's Brian Larush Jr., Keyshawn Thigh, and I believe it's Trevin McBride are your 3 1,000-point scores. And then finally, Joe Saylor and White River. What more do you need to say about them?
C and B, like you said, kind of class of stars. I think this would be great for B basketball in general, because and even this would take the B basketball tournament even up a notch. Would be if we got a White River DeSmet championship.
They played each other this year.
They did play each other already once this year. You're right. And so if you had a championship game of Kalen Gary versus Joe Seiler, that'd just be an electric game. And it'd be high scoring, which fans would like. You'd see two of the top recruits in the state in a championship game. What else more do you want?
Yeah. So now we're going to go to our NCAA tournament kind of coverage. I'm not filling out a bracket until these first 4 games are done.
That's fair.
Right now, according to what I'm seeing on Google, I haven't refreshed it. It says 41-36 Rutgers at halftime.
Okay, Scotty, I gotta ask you, with the brackets, are you an app guy? Like, you download the app and do it on your phone, or are you
website?
Are you paper pencil? Okay, you are a website guy.
Yeah. Usually ESPN or CBS Sports, one of those two.
Okay, that's usually what I am too.
So we're gonna go with the West here first. I'm not gonna go through the matchups. I'm just gonna talk about a couple of teams here. You got Gonzaga as your number 1 seed. Very good team. Chet Holmgren is. I don't know if I like Chet Holmgren yet.
See, Scotty, I think Chet's good. I mean, I went to the Duke, or my family and I over Thanksgiving went to the Duke Gonzaga game in Vegas. But my definition of Gonzaga is choking.
Mm-hmm.
Always choke in the tournament. No matter, like, people, once again, we see the same thing every year with Gonzaga. They get hyped up. And there's this team's gonna be the team that wins it all. Said that about last year. Got smoked against Baylor in the championship. And so I actually noticed this. And Blake was the one that pointed it out to me. Drew Timme, who, I mean, for the people that don't know who are watching, Gonzaga's best player offensively. And it's not even really close.
Also kind of an obnoxious dickhead, but
but Blake pointed this out to me. Drew Timme cannot really score on guys that are bigger than him.
Okay.
And so if they were to run in, like we saw it earlier this year even, against Duke in Las Vegas on a neutral court, Drew Timme did not play well against Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Last year in the national championship game, he struggled against Baylor's bigs. This year, the second round, if they get Memphis, they might get bounced early.
Yeah.
I don't think it will happen, but there's a shot that they could lose to Memphis in the second round.
Something that somebody, I think it might have been on Pardon My Take, but somebody had said that Gonzaga is essentially the new Duke.
And yeah, I heard that.
I kind of agree with that. And if that's the case, then Drew Timme is definitely like Danny Ferry or Christian Laettner.
I agree. I don't know if I agree with them being the new Duke. I think for them, if they're going to be the new Duke, they have to win something first.
Well, if you remember correctly, Duke didn't win right away.
That's true. That's true.
Like Duke made it to the final in, I think, 1980. That was pre-K, I think, too.
Yeah.
And then they made it to the Final Four in 88, 89, maybe. I have to check. Yeah, yes, because I think they lost to Seton Hall. And then 90, they got absolutely boat raced by UNLV.
Yeah. And I know they made it in 86 because
because Billis and Dawkins, yeah.
Yeah, it was Billis, Dawkins. Trying to think who else was on that team. Amaker would have been on that team, but
yep.
They went to the championship, and I know they lost, but I don't know who they played, but I know they lost.
86, that would have been Louisville.
Okay.
That would have been Purvis Ellison is who was on that team.
Okay.
Never Nervous Purvis. And then, I completely forgot to say this. Last night in the first four, Hunter Thompson earned himself a new nickname. I am now going to call him Hunter Shit Thompson because he literally left the game in the first half to take a poop. That's a Wyoming player. Way to cowboy up, buddy.
Oh, Scotty, I know what I was going to say because the first four games, you brought this up. Or speaking of first floor.
Yep.
I remember you sent me a text.
Yes.
And how I agree with you on this. You said something along the lines of how teams that make like the automatic qualifiers shouldn't play in the first four games.
They shouldn't.
And I agree with you 100% because, and you can probably say this better than I can, but it would make the bubble, like you put the 8 bubble teams in, the last 4 in, first 4 out, and you let them play in a winner take all game to get to the tournament. Because that's essentially what the bubble is. You win and you're in.
And it's usually like a bunch of stars.
Exactly.
Like a bunch of like big name. Like, can you imagine if Michigan was playing against Notre Dame right now?
Exactly. Or if like A&M was playing Michigan. And that's the thing that made me mad was A&M went to work last week in the SEC tournament. They make it to the championship, don't get in. Yet Michigan, who has been awful, well, not awful, has been inconsistent all year.
Yep.
Isn't even on the bubble. Like, that doesn't make sense.
2 words, Juwan Howard.
And 2 words as well, Hunter Dickinson.
Yep. Speaking of, like, what the hell happened to Michigan this year?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, I'm sure I think we will get to them here later on. Anyways, keep going through the West here. Boise State, Memphis, I think might be a really good game.
That'll be a good game. Like I said before, I think whoever wins this game has a shot. I don't think it's going to happen, but they have a shot at beating Gonzaga in the second round.
Yeah. This is also the bracket of UConn. UConn's in this. Another game that I'm looking forward to, and it's a possible upset alert, Arkansas and Vermont.
I agree with you. Possible upset alert. And this is one, like, usually when the brackets come out, I kind of have my upsets. Like, after I see the bracket, I kind of know which upsets I'm kind of leaning towards a little bit. This one, I don't know who could win.
Yeah.
Like, you have Arkansas. Like, Arkansas is easily the more athletic team, and they're more talented. But it's March. Anything can happen. And Vermont's a really solid team as well.
Mm-hmm. Vermont also is where a friend of the program and professional wrestler Big Trouble Ben Bishop went to school. So I'm cheering a little bit for them because of that. Although I will say I do like Arkansas because I love Eric Musselman.
I thought you were going to say you were going to spin that and say you love Stanley Amude, former USD Coyote.
Shit, I knew I recognized that guy.
Yep, former USD Coyote.
Alabama, I believe, is playing the winner of the game that's happening right now.
Yep, they are.
Texas Tech is in this. Michigan State is playing Davidson in a very interesting first-round game.
Potential upset alert.
Yep. Bob McKillop, great coach. That's a really good coach matchup there. Izzo versus McKillop.
I agree. And that's a game that's like we said, that's kind of an Arkansas Vermont game. It's a coin flip.
Yeah. And then of course Duke is in this region as well. So
Scotty, I'm gonna have a take, and I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this one. I wouldn't really consider it a hot take, but I think whoever comes out of this region, and likely the three teams are probably going to be, the team that's going to come out is probably going to be Gonzaga, Duke, or Texas Tech. I think whoever wins this region is winning the national championship. Because think about this. Well, I'm looking at the bracket right now. Not so much. I'm going to speak from Duke's perspective just because I'm a Duke fan.
Mm-hmm.
But if Duke, after the first round, could potentially face Michigan State, Alabama or Texas Tech, and then Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
3, Michigan State, like not the Michigan State we expect every single year, but Izzo's still there. Izzo's still a great coach. He could easily lead them to an upset over Duke. Alabama can shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
And Tech is very experienced and plays good defense, and Gonzaga's talented.
There are 2 players that I like from Michigan State. I don't know if I know Gabe Brown is really good. I like Gabe Brown. And I also like Max Christie.
Max Christie's good. He's a good shooter. Good.
Yep.
He'll be a good player. And I think what would be best for Christie if he stayed another year and took a Jaden Ivey or Johnny Davis type leap.
Now to the east. This is the region with Baylor as your number 1 seed. A very, from what I've heard, injured Baylor team.
Yep. Actually, one of my friends from college is down in Texas right now, and he went to the practices today for Baylor, Carolina, Marquette, and all those teams. And he said he heard that LJ Cryer, who's Baylor's, I think he's their 6th man. Still vital player. He injured his ankle, and Blake could tell me more about it, but it sounds like he'll be out the first weekend. So earliest you could see him come back would be Sweet 16. So potential upset alert in the second round.
Of course, UNC and Marquette. I believe the last time these 2 teams met in the tournament, I may be wrong on this, was like 1977, and Marquette won.
This is kind of funny, but UNC, Dawson Garcia, Marquette transfer, even though Dawson Garcia is away from the team right now, but it's kind of funny that his current team's facing his former team.
Oh, Davidson, Foster Lawyer.
Yeah, that's another one too.
Yeah.
Revenge game.
Yep. A game that I think could be sneaky good. St. Mary's in Indiana.
I agree. See, that's
yeah.
I think Indiana's peaking at the right time, but I feel like Indiana may have shot all their bullets already.
Think so?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled off the upset. I don't know when these two teams play, if it's tomorrow or Friday. It's tomorrow, okay.
It's tomorrow.
But I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana pulled off that upset. But St. Mary's is so good. Like they've played Gonzaga tough twice already this year. Like they're an very underrated team. Now, whoever wins this game isn't going to get past UCLA, but that remains to be seen.
Isn't Juzang injured for
No,
UCLA?
Juzang's playing, I think.
Okay.
I think so. I can look it up quick.
Okay. But UCLA is in this. Texas and Virginia Tech play. That should be that might be a weird game.
Va-Tech all the way. Go Hokies.
Tisk, 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 tisk. Hook 'em. And then Murray State versus San Francisco in a game that reminds me very much of 2008 Western Kentucky versus Drake.
See, I was kind of surprised this will be if you're a fan of mid-major basketball, this is a game to watch.
It is the game to watch for mid-major fans.
I agree. I was kind of shocked they put two mid-major teams up against each other in the first round.
I don't like that.
I don't really like it either, but it's going to be a good game tomorrow. I think they play tomorrow, right?
Probably.
Tomorrow.
And then Kentucky is also in this region. I'm probably gonna honestly pick Kentucky out of this.
See, the thing, I didn't know this today because I have Kentucky because I'm a guy that fills out multiple brackets.
Yeah.
But I saw this today and it kind of worried me a little bit. There's like some analytical stat where it shows that teams are peaking right now. Kentucky's on a downhill slope right now, and St. Peter's is trending up. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this game, I'm not saying upset, but has potentially upset vibes.
Yeah. By the way,
now watch Kentucky go out and win by 30.
I don't know what region they're in, but shout out to a guy who I owe a lot to in Scott Nagy and Wright State.
They're in the South. They got Arizona.
Well, good luck with that.
Scotty, I'm disappointed Wright State won tonight. I'm going to be honest.
Really? You wanted Peter Kiss?
Peter Kiss, baby.
Zona, that we're going down to the South. We got Arizona in this. Seton Hall plays TCU. I believe that's an 8-9 matchup. Go TCU, go Horned Frogs. They're really, really good. They beat Kansas this year. Storm Chasers were there. And then we have finally, hopefully, UAB and Jelly Walker beats those damn frauds in Houston.
Jelly Walker. Well, he's good. He's legit. I mean, I'll say this. Since this is my first year not playing basketball, I got a lot more into college basketball this year. Before last week, I had never heard of Jelly Walker in my life. And it was sad too, because they played Louisiana Tech in the championship, and Kenneth Lofton would have been a darling in the NCAA tournament too.
Oh yeah.
Because 6'7", 280 or whatever he is, just a tank down low. But
yeah,
I'm on the Jelly train now.
And then we have Illinois and UTC, which I've heard is what they like to be called. They don't like to be called Chattanooga. They like to be called UTC.
That's interesting. This game's got upset potential too.
Yes. We'll get to a couple of players in our Kemba candidates part. Ohio State, is that Ohio State? No, Colorado State and Michigan are playing each other. There's a Kemba candidate in that.
Michigan's frauds, Colorado State all the way.
Tennessee is in this, but I would steer clear. I don't trust Rick Barnes.
I don't trust Rick Barnes either, but Tennessee's playing really well right now.
Ohio State is playing Sister Jean and Loyola.
Go Ramblers.
And then also Nova is in this. A lot of people are really high on Nova, and I don't know why.
I don't really understand why either. I mean, I know people were mad. People were mad that Duke got a 2 seed and Tennessee got a 3. And I'm thinking, if anyone shouldn't have been a 2, it probably should have been Villanova. Like, Villanova's still good, and they could easily make a run in the tournament. But, I mean, outside of Gillespie, they're just – I just don't really trust them.
And then not in the tournament at all. What do you think of Xavier cutting ties with Travis Steele?
I mean, I think it was a move that had to be done. I saw today that because what was he there 4 years? Does that sound right?
Something like that, yeah. Because what would have been? It was either Chris Mack left to go to Louisville, or Chris Mack went to Louisville because Mick Cronin went to UCLA around the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was a move that had to be done. I think the stat I saw today was Xavier hasn't been to a tournament since 2018.
That feels like way too long.
It does, but at the same time, you got to remember 2020 was canceled.
Yeah, but so like
it's really,
I'm so used to Xavier being in the tournament.
Yeah, Xavier is the anywhere from a 5 to 8 seed and making the Sweet 16.
Yep. Now we go to the Midwest. This is the one with Kansas as the top seed. This is also the region where you probably have the most potential for just tomfoolery and just wildness.
John Rothstein said it on Pardon My Take the other day, the region of chaos. Yeah, I agree with this one.
You have San Diego State and Creighton playing each other. Iowa is in this region. Jordan Bohannon, of course, is in his 27th year at Iowa.
Perry Ellis territory right there.
Yep. Providence is playing the other SDSU.
Go Rabbits.
Yeah. That one, that's conflicting for me because I actually like Ed Cooley.
I like Ed Cooley too, but I mean, go Rabbits. That's all I got to say.
Then we have, can you imagine if the Elite Eight came down to Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger versus SDSU?
If that game happened, I think SDSU would win. I'm going to be honest. Iowa State's not that good.
Well, Iowa State is playing a team without a coach, so they're playing LSU.
Yep. I was kind of shocked that Wade got fired.
Yeah, like the season is still happening. What are we doing?
And I think it was because there's more allegations against him with the whole paying recruits and stuff.
Yeah. Wisconsin is playing Colgate. That could be an upset alert.
Upset alert.
Because Wisconsin has not been the same since Big Cat and company stormed the court at the Kohl Center.
Although Johnny Davis got hurt in that one game against Nebraska and then was hurt. I think he was still recovering a little bit from his injury in the Big Ten tournament. But
let's be real. How often has Wisconsin ever come in contact with toothpaste?
True. Very true.
And then USC is playing Miami in the Rose Bowl. Oh, sorry, this is basketball. This is two football schools playing each other.
It is. I saw a meme the other day of how it was like football fans filling out their bracket, and it was like Alabama, Arkansas, and like a bunch of the football schools. And then in the championship, they had final score 35-28.
Yeah. And then Auburn is in this. We've talked offline and about this a lot. Auburn feels like you can't trust them.
This game, those last 3 games that you mentioned, last 5, going back, looking at the bracket right now, from Providence, SDSU on down. I would not be shocked if all 5 of the double-digit seeds won that game.
Yeah. I do like Bruce Pearl a little bit more after his appearance on PMT. But yeah, and now we're going to go to our Kemba candidates. But first, we need to take a little bit of a break. All right, and we're back here. We're talking about Kemba candidates. Now, to describe what a Kemba candidate is, I believe this is a thing that Mark Titus coined, Mark and Tate Frazier of the Titus and Tate podcast. A Kemba candidate is somebody that powers their team to a deep tournament run, potentially a championship. Kemba did it first, which is why we call it the Kemba candidate in 2011. And then in 2014, Shabazz Napier did it. I guess you could say that Jahlil Okafor was probably your prime Kemba candidate in 2015.
Him and Tyus Jones, I think.
Yeah. But anyways, this is a team player that can be a Kemba candidate and help lead their team to a deep deep tournament run. I have a few. First up, Baylor Shireman. We talked about that from SDSU.
Okay, I want to ask you this: how far do you consider a deep tournament run? Are you saying Elite Eight?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say that's what I was wondering. I didn't know if you were considering deep Sweet 16 or Elite Eight or not. So
yeah,
just clarifying.
Okay. Jelly Walker at UAB.
Yeah.
David Roddy at Colorado State.
David Roddy's legit.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. Looks like a linebacker out there.
Him and Trevor Keel's going to have to battle it out then.
They get to each other.
Lucas Williamson at Loyola.
Yep, I agree with that one.
Murray State, I was looking at that they kind of have two. They have a guy by the name of Juice Hill and Trey Hannibal. I just love those names, I'll be honest.
Those are Kentucky names if I've ever heard them.
Yeah. Trace Jackson Davis at Indiana. I love him.
Yep.
And finally, do you know who was on Chattanooga?
I know Silvio De Sosa's on the team.
That's it.
Kansas legend. I don't know if you want to call him legend or not, but
he gently lifted up a chair and
the one person I want to add to your list, Virginia Tech, Keve Aluma.
Ooh, okay.
He torched Duke. He was killing it all the ACC tournament. He is legit. I think he's not like 6'10". He's about 6. I think he's about 6'8", but can hit the three ball, can shoot the midi, good post moves. Like, dude's a walking 18-7.
Yep. Of course, despite him being there at Coach K's final game, UTC is actually where Terrell Owens went to school.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did not know that.
I believe he also played basketball there. I think he was a dual sport. I think he played football and basketball at Tennessee. Chattanooga.
That's crazy.
I guess you could also say Ochai Agbaji, but I mean, a Kemba candidate is somebody you don't really expect a lot of times.
Yes, Kansas is a 1 too. The one I'd throw
Kennedy Chandler.
Yeah, but I was gonna say Kennedy Chandler, but Tennessee's a 3. Wouldn't be shocked if they made a deep run. I mean, Johnny Juzang, I guess. No one's really buying UCLA this year.
My personal favorite player on that team is Tiger Campbell, but that's just me.
Because of the hair?
Yep. But yeah, that's our Kemba candidates. Now we're going to go in a draft of our favorite tournament runs. I'll be honest, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on here. One, you're allowed to have one prior to your birth, if you won it.
Won what?
One tournament run prior to your birth.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to, but I got 8 of them, so.
Okay. You can go first.
Okay. So I'm going to start this off with – see, I don't know which one I want to start off with because I don't know what you have. And so I'm going to start off with 2018 Loyola Chicago.
And you took one of them.
Sister Jean captivated a nation. And the reason – I didn't really think about it till just now. But the reason I'm going to say this one is you remember in the first round game they had that year, I think they were playing Miami.
Yeah.
So you know how the guy had the buzzer beater 3?
Clayton Custer?
Was it Clayton Custer? I don't remember who it was.
I believe that's what it might have been.
I would say I don't know who it was, but anyway, not the point. I just remember that because me, Colin Brueggemann, and Booth were all over at Booth's house watching tournament games that year. And I just remember because we were watching this Loyola Chicago game, and the guy hit the game-winning 3, and Booth just out of nowhere goes, "Oh, that guy's getting laid tonight."
You know what that reminds me of is have you seen the movie Project X?
What movie?
Project X.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Okay. So there's obviously the movie is built around them having this huge house party. And it's like, wheelchair Robert, even he got laid.
Yeah.
Well, there was I believe it was against Duke, actually, was when Kevin Ware broke his leg.
Yep, I remember that.
For Louisville. And of course Louisville went on that run. I'm not picking them. That run doesn't count.
Yeah, doesn't count.
So the joke after Louisville won that year was, man, even wheelchair Ware's getting a hand job. It's like, geez. Sorry for the blue comedy there, but so you picked that. I
added another one to my list too because I just thought about it, but
I have to go with mine. My number one pick. It's the one that I first think of when I think of great tournament runs. 2006, they were an 11 seed. It's George Mason.
George Mason. Good pick, Scotty. Good pick.
George Mason, a school out of somewhere in Virginia. They had a guy who ended up, I believe, being a lineman or a tight end for the Giants as their center. They were also without their best player, Tony Skinn, for like the first game or two because he low blowed somebody. Tony Skinn. I just remember that name very, very well. And they beat UConn in that run. And there's nothing better than beating UConn.
True. I agree with that one.
So,
well, maybe beating UNC, but
true. So that's my first pick. My second pick, they did not win it. They made it to the championship game, but they lost. But they had arguably the greatest NCAA tournament game of all time, 2005 Illinois.
Ooh, good pick. Also a good pick.
They had Darren Williams, Luther Head, James Augustine, just some great players, and they had probably the best game against Arizona that I've ever seen.
Yeah, good pick. They just ran into a well-oiled machine that was UNC that year.
Yep. Do you remember who UNC's big three was?
It would have been Sean May.
Yep.
I'm trying to think who else was on that team. Raymond Felton.
Yep. I'll give you a clue on the last one. He played for the Timberwolves.
Wayne Ellington? No, Wayne Ellington would have been the 09 team.
Rashad McCants. And I fucking hate Rashad McCants because he blew me off for an autograph when I was 13 years old. Screw that guy. Him and Wally Zerbiak both. I hate both of them.
Why do you hate Wally?
He did the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So who's your number 2 pick?
My next pick is, like you said, this also Cinderella team to the Final Four, 2011 Wichita State.
Ooh. Okay. Now, was that Ron Baker?
Yeah, I think Ron Baker would have been on that team. I don't remember who was on that team. I was just going to go look that up. 11.
Was that Van Fleet, maybe?
Yeah, I think oh, wait, I might be thinking of the wrong.
Yeah, I think you're thinking 13.
I think VCU, my bad.
Oh, okay.
I was like, VCU. Because after I said it, I was like, no, Wichita State didn't make it. I was like, then I wanted to say Shaka Smart, and I was like, he didn't coach at Wichita State.
No.
That's a my bad, viewers. That's a my bad.
This is Greg Marshall we're talking here.
Yeah, that's a my bad, viewers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry I disappointed all of you. But so VCU, Shaka Smart, that press, insane.
Yep. Was that wasn't Eric Maynard, was it?
Man, I'm trying to think of that team.
Because I think we played. I think Duke played them that year.
I want to say because I know the championship in 11 was UConn and Butler, but I don't remember who they lost to.
It was the worst NCAA tournament game of all time.
Yeah, that game was awful. 2011 VCU basketball.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll look at that roster quick. Who'd you say, Eric Maynard?
Yeah, Eric Maynard.
Eric Maynard was not on the team.
Okay.
Some notable guys you may have Ed Nixon, maybe.
Okay.
I was looking at their team. Troy Daniels is on that team.
That's it. Yep. There it is.
Troy Nixon.
Okay. Who's your number 3?
So my number 3 was a team that I just thought about as we were starting to do this. But this man captivated a nation back in 2019, had by far the greatest single NCAA tournament game I've ever witnessed. The 2019 Purdue Boilermakers, led by Carson Edwards.
Damn you.
That 42-point game against Virginia. Sadly, they lost, but I think there was about a 5-minute stretch when that was some of the best basketball I'd ever seen, because both teams were just – it seemed like Virginia would come down, make a bucket. Edwards would come down and hit some crazy shot and just keep Purdue in the game.
They also had Captain Hairflip himself, Matthew Harms.
Yep. But that Purdue team led by Carson Edwards was fun to watch.
Oh. Damn it. Damn you.
Sorry.
Of course, I feel like I'm going to stray older than you, obviously, because I am older. I'm going to pick one of 2 teams from the same year.
Okay.
One team had a guy that ended up being drafted 3rd overall. The other team had a guy, I believe, that was drafted 4th.
Okay.
One team had Jerry McNamara as the point guard, and the other team, the star was basically the point guard. But I am going to pick the 2003 Syracuse team.
Good pick.
Wild, huh?
Good pick. Good pick. Hey, think about this, Scotty. So that 03 team with Syracuse, I don't know what day the championship would have been, but it would have been about a month after I was born.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Of course.
Good pick.
Of course, they have Hakeem Warwick. That was the big guy that everybody else remembered.
Yeah.
And they beat Kansas thanks to Hakeem Warwick blocking Kirk Hinrich, which Yeah.
I can't forget Melo.
Yep, and Melo, of course. And then, so that's my third pick. So my fourth pick, I'm going to go a little bit more recent. Because you picked 2011 VCU, did you not?
Yep. I don't know why I said Wichita State, but
I'm gonna go to 2013.
Okay. Oh, I think I know which one you're going with.
This team caused my buddy Bryce to nearly punch a hole in the wall of the house because something with gambling covers. They're playing Georgetown. They beat Georgetown. It's Florida Gulf Coast.
Yep, good pick. That was going to be my next pick, actually.
The thing about about that Florida Gulf Coast team is I could only name maybe one player. That was that Comer kid.
Honestly, I can't even remember the team. I just remember Dunk City.
Yeah, Dunk City. And then Andy Enfield was their coach, and he is now, I believe, at USC.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that one.
So that is my fourth pick. Yeah.
Okay, so my next pick, team that got to the championship game a few years back. You know, going into the tournament, people thought it was Duke's to lose. Duke ended up losing to Michigan State in the Elite Eight. Michigan State then lost to this team in the Final Four, 2019 Texas Tech, led by Jared Culver and Matt Mooney. And the only reason I put that was because I love Matt Mooney.
Well, I think this might be your last appearance on the show now.
Why? Matt Mooney's a beast. Granted, you know I'm an SDSU guy, yes, and I always support SDSU. But Mooney single-handedly carried USD in those 2 years that he was there.
Yeah, but he also left, and our guy stayed. Our guy stayed.
Oh, Dom?
Yeah, Mike. And
yeah, but think about this, though, Scotty.
And as somebody who had classes in the same building as Dom, I'm loyal to him forever.
That's fair. But think about this, though, Scotty. If Mooney and Craig Smith don't leave that offseason, I think USD –
they would be better than us.
They might, yeah, I was going to say they might have beaten State that year in the championship.
Yeah.
Even though State didn't make the championship of the Summit League that year, but I think with State losing that year in what would have been – well, yeah, if it would have been 2019. I think with State losing in 2019, USD probably would have won it.
Interesting thing, I was in town for that game. I was in Minneapolis. I was working the 3-on-3 tournament that was played in the Mall of America.
That's cool.
And I'm just walking around the Mall of America, and Ethan Happ, I don't know if you remember him from Wisconsin.
Yep. Wisconsin.
He was just walking around. I'm like, hey, what up, Ethan? And he's like, eh. And that was the and then that was also the infamous Robbie Hummel story is where that happened. Okay.
Hey, we got some breaking news.
Oh, shit.
The Dodgers and Freddie Freeman are making progress towards a multi-year deal.
Oh, boy. Is that passing?
It was Morosi, I think.
Oh. I was going to say, if it's Bob Nightingale, fuck that guy.
Hey, Nightingale was the hero of the meetings that one night.
Well, yeah, but he also just completely got everything wrong.
Yeah, but he gave baseball hope, which was what we needed. Okay, so the next pick.
Yep.
Also, a team in 2019 also made the Final Four. Lost to Virginia on a horrible call that sent Kyle Guy to the free throw line with like half a second left. Made all three.
Auburn?
They did it for Chuma Okeke. 2019 Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
That Final Four was something else. I'll tell you what.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
Final Four.
Oh, yeah. Was Bruce Pearl also still the coach then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were led. That team was like Bruce Brown, Bruce Brown, but not the Bruce Brown that's in the NBA.
Yeah.
Chumo Kiki before. I mean, he got hurt that tournament, but they had another good guard that year too.
Yeah.
Because they shot the lights out that year.
Yep. That's a good pick. Good pick. I would pick the team that I liked because during the pandemic, I watched like the tournament runs of like all the champions basically. At least until like right now, I'm going through 1988.
Okay.
And Kansas, they're not on there yet because I haven't gotten all the way through.
Yeah.
But I would pick a team from the year prior. Not going to do that. I'm going to pick the very first college basketball team that I can remember.
Okay.
And they won the title in Minneapolis. Okay. And so we're going to 2001.
I think I know who you're going.
We're going with Duke. It's the team that made me a Duke fan.
Good pick.
I mean, you have Carlos Boozer. You have Jay Will. You have Shane Battier, Mike Dunleavy.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I think Duhon was the sixth man.
I think you're right. That team was just loaded.
I think Sheldon Williams might have been like the center. I could be wrong on that.
No, Williams came with Reddick.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So he was a year or two later?
Yep. But yeah, 2001 Duke.
Good pick, Scotty. Good pick.
And they beat Arizona that year. And the only person I can remember from that 2001 Arizona team was Lauren Woods. But
was Richard Jefferson on that team?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Richard Jefferson was on that team. Yeah, you're right. Yep. So 2001 Duke. And who's your final pick? And then we'll get to I only have 3 honorable mentions.
I'm kind of stuck right now between 3. And since I think you ended it with Duke team, I feel I should probably as well. So I'm going to go the 2015 Blue Devils.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I would have been 7 when it happened in 2010.
Okay.
So, I mean, I remember it a little bit, but I wasn't like, I don't remember it a whole lot. I know they beat, I mean, obviously everyone knows the Gordon Hayward almost shot that won it.
I was a senior in high school.
I know they beat Baylor in the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2015, I would have been 12, so I remember that better. But I just remember, I mean, I don't really remember the first few rounds because I remember we were at state basketball that year when it was happening, so I don't think I really watched a ton of it. But I remember the Final Four because they beat Michigan State in the Final Four that year, in the Final Four game. And they beat Michigan State by like 20. And then everyone was thinking, okay, it's Duke, Kentucky, battle of the one and dones. And then Wisconsin upset them. And I just remember this because Bradley's a notorious – he's not as bad anymore, but he was a notorious Duke hater for a long time. And so he was just giving me and Blake, because Blake was a Duke fan for a while before he kind of grew out of it and became a Baylor fan because that's where he went to school for PT stuff. But he was just giving Blake and I a ton of crap saying, oh, Wisconsin's going to win. And Wisconsin was winning for a long time in that game. But my man, Grayson Allen.
Yep.
Because I'm going to say this. Grayson Allen to me, Scotty, was probably like J.J. Redick to you.
In what way?
Just that, I mean, you got to watch J.J. growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was too young to watch J.J. at Duke. Grayson was a 4-year guy, both team captains, All-American, stuff like that. Now, Grayson nowhere near the player at Duke that J.J. was, but similar kind of.
Would J.J. probably be your first favorite Duke player?
No, my favorite Duke player of all time.
Your first one, like.
Oh, I remember watching.
Yeah.
No, it would have been that 2010 team. It would have been like Shire and Nolan
Singler.
Smith. Yeah, it would have been like Singler, Shire, Nolan Smith, those guys.
Okay. I think I even may have tried to buy a J. Will jersey at one point.
That would have been dope.
Yeah. So, yeah. I actually kind of like that Wisconsin team. I'm not going to lie. Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, awesome people.
Nigel Hayes. Nigel Hayes was good.
Yep. So my honorable mentions, the other 2003 team was Marquette.
Okay, with D Wade.
Yeah, with D Wade. 2013 Wichita State. That was the team that had Baker and Van Fleet, and they were awesome.
They went undefeated that year, didn't they?
No, this was the underdog Wichita State team.
Okay.
The one that you're thinking of, everybody hated.
Was that 14 or 15?
I think it was 14.
Okay, I knew it was around that time, but.
And then my old man pick is the 87 Indiana Hoosiers. And the reason for that, I mean, you have Steve Alford. But that was also, there's a book that I read when I was in high school called Season on the Brink. That was about the 86 Indiana Hoosiers. This is basically before, like you've seen the movie Friday Night Lights, right?
Yeah.
So you know how in that 88 season for Odessa Permian, how they lost the state championship game to Dallas Carter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the next season they end up winning the state championship. It says that in the end credits.
Okay.
You know, well, this 86 team, the 86 team lost in the first round to Cleveland State.
Cleveland State. They're the Vikings, right?
Yep. Of course, Cleveland State ended up losing in a very good game to Navy that year. Of course, you know who Navy had in 86?
They would have had David Robinson.
Yep, you're damn right. And then, well, anyways, this 87 team, Indiana, they end up doing really well. They beat a very good LSU team in the Elite Eight. And then they also beat Syracuse in the national championship game. And Syracuse had like Ronnie Cycli, Derek Coleman, Sherman Douglas, just a freaking monstrous team.
Some legends.
And Indiana had Steve Alford and Keith Smart.
What a team.
Yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions?
So the one team that I kind of wish I would have said, because they won 9 games
I remember
in a row.
God damn it.
They had won 9 games in a row. Big East champions, won 5 games, 5 days in the Big East tournament, 2011. Remember the shot that everyone knows came before, 2011 UConn Huskies. No, it would have been 9. It would have been 11. My bad.
Yep.
11 games in a row to win the tournament. Jeremy Lamb, Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier.
It's a good one. There was 2 teams that met up in 2008 that I loved.
2008. Okay. Davidson?
No. Was it 2000? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2008. It was Memphis. It was Memphis and Kansas.
In the championship?
Yep. And, of course, Memphis had, Chris Douglas Roberts, some guy named Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I don't know.
PJ, PJ Dozier, and then Kansas had, I believe they had a Rush brother. I think it was I think it was Brandon Rush.
Brandon Rush.
They also had a guy who currently plays for the Sioux Falls Skyforce, Mario Chalmers.
Hit one of the biggest shots in championship history.
Yep. Yeah. So that I need to throw them out. We're gonna end this before we go to our little post show.
Here, hold on. I got one more honorable mention. I mean, I put Oral Roberts from last year. I mean,
Oh yeah,
last year's tournament, wasn't the same just
no,
because no fans and stuff. But what they did last year was pretty amazing, being a 15 seed. So I thought I'd show them and the Summit League love. Plus, I love Max A. Smith. So
yeah. The women's tournament, your top 4 seeds are really, really good. The thing with the women's tournament is it's usually very chalky. So South Carolina, number 1 team, they got Aaliyah Boston, going to probably be one of the top overall picks in the WNBA draft.
Can she enter this year?
I think so. I think she's only like a junior.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
But I know you have to have like an age requirement to be like drafted in the WNBA.
Yep. And then Stanford, I believe they're the defending champs. They got Haley Jones, I think is her name. They have the Hull sisters, Lexi Hull, and then they also have somebody by the name of Anna Wilson. You might know her brother,
Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Knew that.
NC State, they have Alyssa Kinane, really, really good player. And then Louisville, I've seen a couple of their games. I couldn't name any of their players, honestly, other than one player that's on the bench that doesn't play. And that's because she
is Sydney Shetman.
Yep.
I know Louisville's best player is, I think, Haley Van Lith.
That's it. Yep.
Because the only reason I know that is because she was or still is dating Jalen Suggs.
Oh, okay. So, some other teams to watch, obviously USD. I got to cheer for Chloe. I do.
That's true.
Arizona, who made it to the national championship game last year. Adia Barnes, really, really good coach. Iowa State and Iowa are both really good. Iowa has probably the best player in college basketball in Caitlin Clark. Utah, I love. They're a 7 seed in one of the things. They have a player that I know really, really, really well, Andrew Gilton. I coached her little brother at the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yes.
Where's she from?
She went to St. Thomas More. She's from the Hills.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yep. She's their starting point guard. Really good player.
I bet she is.
LSU, of course, they have Kim Mulkey as their coach. They're interesting. She's the former Baylor coach.
Yep. Don't bring that name up in the Dean household.
Really?
Because, since Blake went to Baylor for grad school, he's become a Baylor fan, and so he doesn't like Kim Mulkey because Kim Mulkey left Baylor.
But she's from Louisiana. She wanted to go home.
I know, but Blake still doesn't like her for it.
Texas is usually pretty good. Oregon, usually pretty good. Tennessee, they have history. Baylor is a 2 seed. UConn is also a 2 seed, and I think Paige Beckers is. I think she's back.
That's good. Good for him.
I don't know if AZ Fudd is back, but she should be.
Okay.
Notre Dame and Indiana are also really, really good.
Okay. Scotty, I'm going to ask you this. Who would you take, considering if both are healthy, who would you want? Paige Beckers or Caitlin Clark?
Paige Beckers.
That's what I think I'd take too. Because I think if Paige was playing, like, no disrespect to Caitlin Clark, she's fantastic. But
yeah,
I think if Paige was playing at a place like Iowa where she had her own team, she would be putting up similar numbers.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Caitlin Clark's range is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. She's like the female Steph Curry.
She is.
Yeah, so that's our women's tournament breakdown. Sorry, it wasn't as extensive as the men's. but it's usually, like I said, it's usually pretty chalky.
Yeah, it's chalky.
And all of the games are on ESPN2, I think, for that. Or ESPN2. They're all on the ESPN family of networks. For that, of course, the men's tournament, you got True TV, you've got TBS, TNT, CBS. You'll probably see a bunch of Impractical Jokers and wonder advertisements and wonder where one of them is. Like, wasn't there 4? Yes, there was. One of them left. I don't know what he's doing.
Sad. Joe left.
Yeah, Joe. Yes. And it's like if one of the twins left Dude Perfect. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But honestly, Frank Vogel might be looking for a job that could just replace him.
I agree. They do look exactly
alike. They do.
Now, the Frank Vogel comedy part might not be as great, but
oh yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it for the show. Before I end, there is a team that I'm watching currently, right now in my little classic watching, 1988 Arizona. They have Lute Olson is their coach.
Yep.
Here's some of the players that they have on their team. He used to be an analyst. I think he's still an analyst for the Warriors. Tom Tolbert was their center. Okay. They had a guy, you may remember him, Sean Elliott. He's their 3. He's a guy who hit a big shot for the Spurs in the 99 finals.
Yep. Know the name.
And then finally, their point guard, some guy named Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Best college shooter of all time.
Yes,
I think NBA-wise, too. I think NBA has got the best percentage.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the team I'm watching right now. So, of course, stay on for the post show, but thank you for coming on.
Yep. Hey, Scotty, before we end, I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Actually, 2 things. How far do you think SDSU goes? And 2, what do you think the final score of the game is going to be tomorrow? Well, today, potentially, whenever they're watching this, or in the past, whenever you watch this.
Yes. So I think they can actually beat Providence. I mean, given Providence, it's literally probably 2 hours away from Buffalo. That's probably not right. But Buffalo's close. Yeah, but Buffalo's northern New York. Yeah. But yeah, Providence is way closer than SDSU is. That being said, I think SDSU wins this and then loses to Iowa.
I think. Okay, what's your score prediction then? I'll give you mine.
So I wrote this earlier. Providence only gives up about 67 points per game. Mm-hmm. SDSU gives about 70 something. The thing with Providence is they have no real true leader really.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
And they also don't they have 4 players that average over 10 points a game, but nobody scores over 14 points a game.
Yep.
I think it's going to be 78 to 75 SDSU because usually Providence lately has been in a lot of close games. People like to say that they are tournament tested. That might be true, but sometimes when you play in enough close games, you end up losing one.
I agree with that. But so I'm going to say, I think at best they'll go to the Sweet 16 because even though Iowa's hot, I think they match size-wise, they match up pretty well with Iowa. So I think that, and just with the way that SJC shoots it, I think they could potentially beat them.
I just remembered a Kimba candidate, Keegan Murray.
Good candidate. But anyway, so I think they could potentially beat Iowa if they if they shoot well enough that night. But I do think they beat Providence tomorrow. I'm going to say score 75-67 SDSU.
Wow. Okay.
Really wants to say hi.
Oh, we got a special guest.
Oh boy. What up?
What's up?
What up?
What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot.
Yeah. Just discuss. Who do you got, Scotty? Let me hear.
Who what?
Yes, who do you have winning?
Oh, SDSU.
No, I think he means in the tournament.
Oh, in the tournament?
Yeah.
Arizona.
Ooh, hey, you hear that, Bradley?
Solid pick. They're in my finals.
Yep.
We got a Bradley Dean approved pick, so.
Yep. So, that's the wow, we got 2 deans on one show. Holy cow. 3 if you count your mom.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
You don't have to go.
But yeah, that's the show.